Okay, we are covering scheduled maintenance on a Suzuki, um, any Suzuki DF that is. I'm not going to cover the initial 20 hours right here um, because we're going to assume that those people have paperwork like me and they know what to do. Uh, just all I'm going to say for the initial 20 hours is that uh, follow the recommendation because your gearbox, your lower unit, your engine has sand in it. It could have metal shavings in it. That's why they want you to replace the engine oil after 20 hours, the gear oil after 20 hours, and engine oil filter after 20 hours because of the sand and the metal shaving that are could potentially be in there during manufacturing process. Um, we're not going to go too much in it, but after that, you might have bought this boat used and you don't know what needs to be done. You don't have any paperwork and you don't know how to look up the paperwork. So I'm going to do it for you. Basically, the most important part is um, every 100 hours or 12 months, as you see over here, it says, uh, before we go any further, let me go roll back. Uh, Suzuki had more maintenance schedule on their paper, then they got made fun of by other manufacturers, and to look competitive, they just changed things. Old days, spark plug was replaced. Now it's just every 100 hours, it would say replace it. But then the competitors say, hey, too much work. They got smart. They put inspection now for the spark plug every 100 hours. I believe you should change it, just like the old book used to say. But the book says inspection. Uh, Spark plugs go through a lot of high RPM. Your your engine with your truck goes 1500, 2000 RPM, 3000 RPM, but your boat will go to 5000, 6000 RPM for 30 minutes, 20 minutes. So I would replace the spark plug. Good thing is the spark plugs are sold at an auto parts store. You don't need to go to a marine store. You can get it where you get the spark plug from your truck, for your truck. Okay. The cost, I think it's in 2020 is about $2.50 if I recall. Don't quote me, but rather insignificant. I have a DF 100, 140, and I think I'm into $7, $8, no more than $10. So change the spark plug instead of inspecting it, unless you know how to inspect it. I mean, how do you inspect it if you don't have tools? I know how to do it, but you may not. And if you don't, just easier to replace it. So here it says to inspect it every 12 months, and you should change it. Fuel line inspection is good. Engine oil, it says every 12 months or 100 hours to replace it. The oil, after time, uh, it becomes acidic and it starts eating the engine when it's old. So you don't want that. Uh, Gear oil, you want to replace it every year because you're going to check for leaks. Maybe there's water in it, and when you open it up, if there's water in the gear oil, it will be milky, and hopefully you catch it quick enough where it won't give you a problem. I haven't seen it, but it could happen. So let's go ahead and replace it every year. Cost is about $6 for me, less than $10 for everybody, no matter where you live in 2020. Anoid, go ahead and inspect it. You can go ahead and everything is self-explanatory. You can read this. Pause the video right now and go through it. Um, Things that important to me. Um, the lower unit bolts that hold it, the lower unit bolts, including the one that is hidden underneath that little fin. There's a little fin to adjust the how the boat rides. It's a tiny fin. It's about 3 inches. There's one bolt underneath it. Uh, these bolts will freeze on you if you're in salt water, and they're aluminum, and I have sheared it off trying to open it. You may want to heat it. If it won't open up easily, you may want to heat it, and then when you put them back, put some Never Seas, which is a lubricant, or if you don't have that, put some marine grease on it so they can come out easier and they won't freeze on you, because they do freeze after about 200 after about a year and a half in the water. They will freeze. If you try to open it and you cannot open it, give up. They will last a long time, and for most boaters, unless you're in Alaska, which is totally different ball game. If you're a normal climate in Florida, in Texas, you could get 500-600 hours out of it. And if you cannot open those bolts, you're looking at a triple to quadruple cost. You may have to break some parts in your lower unit to be able to take the lower unit out so you can get to the impeller. Reason you take that bolt out is to get to the impeller, the water pump. But the water pump in a normal 80 degree or between normal beach temperature weather will last 400-500 years. Here it says inspected, and it wants you to replace it after 3 years. But when it says inspected, they want you to get those bolts out. Try to get the bolts out every year and put it back. That's it. Pull it out, grease it, pull it out, grease it, put it back. I did break some because I'm not going to get into it. Mechanic's fault, really. Okay, we're going to go loop. A lot of you don't know this area right here where the cursor is, behind it, behind the plastic, which would be right here, where the throttle and shifter gear is inside the engine. There's some lubricant point there. A good time to take care of this area right here, which is again behind this. The picture is self-explanatory. It's a good time to do it is when you're doing an oil change, because you have to take the cowling off, you have to take the skirt off to get to the oil filter. So when you're taking the oil filter out, it's a good time. I would say every normal climate here, it says every 100 hours, every year. I have managed to go 2-3 years in a normal climate. My climate is in Texas. It goes from 60 degree to 100 degrees, what I deal with. Kind of mild temperature for boat. It is not for human, but for boats. So make sure you do that at least every couple of years. You live in Alaska, Canada, probably sooner, I assume. Right here, this is where the steering is. There's two nipples, grease nipples, right where the steering is. This is where the lower unit is, where it goes up and down. There's one grease point. Uh, Now, here they want you to loop the propeller as well. It says every 100 hours right here. The book says right here every 100 hours or 12 months. And by the way, the grease needs to be green, which is marine. And the reason you use marine is because it's not water soluble. Car grease, which is brownish, is water soluble, so it will get washed off and get destroyed real quick. You want the all-purpose, which is blue or green. You can use either one. I would do the prop right here when I'm doing the lower unit, because when you take the prop out, it makes it lighter to pick it up. Lower unit can be heavy. Also, when you take the prop out, count how many threads you see. Okay, that way when you put it back, you can go back to this. You turn it to the correct thread. So you turn it till you see 1, 2, 3. Mine is 3 threads. So I can see 3 turns on the shaft. That's how tight I need to turn that nut. Make sure you use that little pen. I can't remember the name of it right now. Carter pen. I seen a guy that put a new prop on and didn't put the Carter pen on. The nut came off, and he was 10 miles away from land, and I told him. So make sure you put the Carter pen in. While we're talking about prop, I would never mess with a prop on your engine. Stay with the prop you got. I'm sure that is the right and correct one. If you change it, you may not get the correct RPM, and the engine needs to go to 4,000 to 5,000 RPM for the prop to be the correct one. If you're only getting 2,000 RPM when you go to the maximum throttle, that is the wrong prop. If you're getting max 6,000 RPM right away on like a halfway throttle, you're getting 6,000 RPM, that's the wrong prop as well. So on a full throttle, it needs to be about 4,000 to 5,000 RPM. That's the correct prop for your boat. So anyway, that sums it up. Hopefully those guys that bought a used boat and didn't know what the scheduled maintenance is, let me show it to you again right here. You can pause the video. Oh, by the way, we have every 400 hours, you got the fuel filter, okay? The low pressure fuel filter. You can look these phrases in Google. What is a type in low pressure fuel filter for Suzuki? You can see it. What I've done on a low pressure fuel filter, if I had a good flow through it and I was concerned about the water buildup in there, because supposedly it catches the water as the on a DF-140 at least it does, and it has a sensor that can detect water. There's a wire that goes to it. I have taken it out and just dumped the fuel in got rid of the water and anything else, but just taking it out and dumping it. Good luck. I hope that saved you some money, and go fishing, go boating, but always be safe. Have a good one.